Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
Well,
I want to start today by planting a very specific and probably very stressful image in your head.
okay.
It's a Tuesday morning. The coffee hasn't kicked in yet.
Yeah.
You have a critical payroll deadline at 5:00 p.m. And the one person, the only person who knows how to navigate that ancient, finicky legacy software just called in sick.
Oh, no.
Or let's raise the stakes.
Yeah.
They just handed in their 2 weeks notice.
That is the classic nightmare scenario. It's the single point of failure and the panic that sets in. It's not just about the deadline. It's that, visceral realization that your entire operation is hanging by a single thread.
And that thread is named Dave from accounting.
It's always a Dave.
We've all been held hostage by a Dave at some point. It's terrifying. You realize you haven't built a system. You've built a dependency. But we aren't just here to complain today.
No.
We are doing a deep dive into the fix. We're looking at a strategy that is arguably the most critical survival mechanism for the business landscape here in 2026. We are talking about cross-training.
And to be clear, right from the start, this isn't about sending people to a generic seminar once a year just to tick a box for HR. That's old school.
Right.
This is about structural agility. We are working off a fantastic resource today, an article by Felix Römer titled Cross-Training Strategy, Building a Multi-Skilled Future Workforce.
Romer's work is great because it moves past the buzzwords. He gives us strategy guides, implementation templates, and some really stark data on what the workforce actually looks like right now.
He does.
So the mission for this deep dive is pretty specific. How do we build a team that doesn't crumble when one person steps away? But maybe more than that, how companies like IDEO have used this to change their culture entirely.
Exactly. It's about moving from a fragile collection of individuals to a resilient system, shifting the mindset from my job to our capability.
Okay, so let's get into the strategic case.
Yeah.
Because when I hear cross-training, I have to admit my skepticism radar goes up a little. It often sounds like management code for, we fired half the team, so now you have to do 2 jobs for the same pay. Is Römer advocating for a workforce of exhausted generalists?
That is the most common fear, and it's a crucial distinction to make. Römer is very clear. We are not trying to build a workforce of generalists who are mediocre at everything.
Okay.
That is a recipe for burnout and, frankly, poor quality output. You don't want your graphic designer doing your taxes.
No, definitely not. So what are we talking about?
It's about targeted skill expansion, teaching employees specific skills beyond their main role just to cover key operations. Think about the concept of the T-shaped person.
Right, from the design firm IDEO.
Exactly. They made it famous years ago, but it's more relevant in 2026 than ever.
Break down the T for us, because I think visuals really help here.
Okay, picture a capital T. The vertical bar, that's your deep expertise, your core job. If you are a coder, you are still an expert coder. That doesn't go away.
That's your value.
That's your value add. But the horizontal bar across the top, that represents broad knowledge and the ability to collaborate across disciplines. Cross-training is all about building that horizontal bar.
So you keep your superpower, but you learn enough of someone else's language to be dangerous. Or, I guess in this case, helpful.
Helpful is the key word, and it's about redundancy. Why now? Why is this so critical in 2026? Because the business landscape is just so volatile.
Right.
Workforce disruptions are the norm now, not the exception. Between remote work, tech shifts, career paths changing, you just can't afford to be rigid.
You have silos where only one person holds the keys to the castle. You're just waiting for disaster.
Precisely. Resilience means that when someone is absent, the business weathers it without dropping quality. It's an insurance policy. But Römer argues this policy pays you back even if you never file a claim.
How so?
Well, I was looking at the financial argument in his notes. The cost math is pretty aggressive.
It is stark. I think we underestimate how expensive it is to lose people.
Let's look at the cost of replacement. If someone leaves and you have to hire externally, you're looking at costs nearing $30,000 for a mid-level role.
30 grand. Walk me through that, because I think people just assume it's the cost of a job ad.
Oh, no, it's much deeper. It's recruitment fees, which can be 15–20% of the salary. It's the management time spent interviewing, onboarding costs, and crucially, it's the ramp-up time.
Wow, right.
A new hire isn't 100% productive for months. That lag costs money. You're paying a full salary for partial output.
And the source material from the Smart Move had that data point about internal mobility, which ties right in.
Right. It says focusing on internal talent cuts those hiring costs significantly. If you cross-train, you are building a bench of internal candidates who can step up without that $30,000 price tag. And beyond the money, there's the engagement factor. People like to learn.
Which brings us to the culture. You mentioned IDO, but the notes also bring up Facebook and Microsoft focusing on empathy in their hiring. I have to play devil's advocate here. How does learning to process a purchase order teach me empathy? It sounds like a buzzword.
It sounds like a stretch, but think about the friction in most offices.
Yeah.
If you have never done my job, you have no idea why I'm stressed out on Tuesday mornings. You just want your request handled.
You think I'm being slow?
You think I'm being slow. I know I'm being thorough. You think I'm a bureaucrat. I know I'm keeping us compliant.
So it creates an us versus them dynamic. Sales thinks engineering is lazy.
And engineering thinks sales is reckless.
Exactly.
But if you've shadowed me, if you've learned the basics of my role, you understand the friction points. You get the complexity. Suddenly, we aren't just colleagues passing work over a wall. We're allies. Learning someone else's job is the fastest route to building empathy because you respect the difficulty of what they do.
That actually tracks. It kills the mystery of what do they even do all day?
And replaces it with, wow, that system is actually really hard to use. It builds trust. And trust is speed in business.
Okay, so the strategic case is solid. We save 30 grand, we build T-shaped employees, and everyone is nicer. But now we have to get into the leads. Implementation. Because I can see a manager listening and saying, great, everyone swap desks for a day.
And total chaos ensues. That is the how not to do it guide. You absolutely do not just swap desks.
You don't want the intern running the server room.
No, not for fun.
Right.
So how do we do it without breaking the company?
Right.
Felix Römer provides a very structured 3-step process. Step 1 is prioritize based on operational criticality.
Operational criticality. Okay, what does that actually mean in practice?
It sounds fancy, but it just asks a simple question. What breaks the business if it stops?
Okay.
You don't need to cross-train everyone on how to organize the supply closet. You need to identify the processes that, if they stop, cause the biggest disruption.
So back to our payroll example, if people don't get paid, they stop working. That's critical.
Correct. Or customer support for your biggest client. Or the daily server backup. You find those high-risk areas first. Then, step 2 is matching interest.
This seems tricky. You can't just assign this, right?
No, you are going to have a very bad time if you do. You cannot force this. You need to use performance data and, honestly, just good coaching conversations. Find the people who are motivated to learn, who is raising their hand.
So the Venn diagram, business needs on one side, employee curiosity on the other.
You aim for the overlap. Exactly. If you can align the business need with someone's career goals, it feels like a reward, not a punishment.
Yeah.
And then step 3, which is the one most companies skip, train the trainers.
Oh, this is a big one. Just because I'm good at my job doesn't mean I can teach it.
Being an expert and being a teacher are completely different skill sets.
Yeah.
We've all had that brilliant colleague who tries to explain a process and just confuses everyone.
People skip steps that are obvious to them.
Just click the thing and do the thing.
Right. Just fix it.
It doesn't work. You need to select trainers who have patience, who have delegation skills, and you have to support them, carve out time for the teaching.
The source material mentions SOPs a lot here, standard operating procedures. They seem essential.
They are non-negotiable. Römer calls the SOP the single source of truth. If you don't have the standard way documented, your trainer is just teaching their personal shortcuts and bad habits.
The Dave from accounting method, not the company method.
Exactly. And if Dave leaves, his bad habits become the new standard. So once you have the SOPs, you move into tactics. The article suggests starting with shadowing.
Which is low stakes. I'm just watching you work.
It starts at low stakes, but you'd use checklists, job aids, then you move to supervised practice where the trainee drives and the expert watches. And finally, this is a crucial concept, time-bound rotations.
Explain that. How is that different from just helping out?
A time-bound rotation means you move a staff member into that new role for a specific period, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. They are actually doing the job, but it's finite. The goal isn't a permanent transfer, it's immersion.
It's like a tour of duty.
Exactly. Then they return to their core role, but now that horizontal bar on their T-shape is solid. They have muscle memory.
And keeping track of all this. Rotations, skills, it sounds like a lot of admin. Do we need to buy some massive HR software?
No, and Römer advises against that. Keep it simple. A simple template, like an Excel sheet, works wonders to start. You don't want the tool to be the barrier.
What goes in that spreadsheet?
Candidate info, the tasks they need to learn, and this is key metrics. You need 1 to 3 metrics to measure success.
Give me an example of a good metric for that.
Let's stick with payroll. A metric shouldn't be, did they finish the training? It should be, Zero error rate on data entry, or time to resolve exception tickets.
So objective proof that the person can actually do the job.
Precisely. It moves it from, I feel like I know it, to, I processed 50 records with zero errors. If you can't measure it, you can't trust it when the crisis hits.
I want to zoom out a bit. We've talked about the now, but let's look at the future-proofing aspect. The source notes have this graphic about 5 key roles for 2026. Some of these job titles sound like science fiction.
They do, but they're real. We're seeing roles like AI prompt operations specialist, cloud security automation engineer.
Customer success upstream manager.
I love that one.
But what does cross-training have to do with these futuristic roles? Can't I just hire an expert?
That's the problem. You often can't. The talent pool is too small. Where do you find someone with 5 years of experience in a tool that was invented 6 months ago?
You don't. You can't hire experience that hasn't happened yet.
Exactly. So you have to build it. Cross-training is the bridge. You take a customer service rep who knows your clients inside and out, you train them on data analysis and product basics, and suddenly they're on the path to becoming that upstream manager.
So cross-training is actually an internal mobility engine.
That's it. It's how you build the workforce of tomorrow out of the workforce you have today. And think about retention. If I'm an employee and I see my company is willing to train me on these cutting-edge skills, I am not leaving.
You see a future. You don't feel stuck.
And that feeling of being stuck is the #1 reason people leave. For the business, this also drives innovation. Exposure to other roles, it doesn't just break down silos, it sparks new ideas.
Can you give me an example of that?
Sure. Innovation happens at intersections. If I'm that AI prompt specialist, but I've cross-trained with marketing, I understand their brand voice constraints, I'm going to have very different ideas for how to use the AI than if I just stayed in my tech bubble.
Right. You might see a connection they couldn't.
You see solutions that neither group could see on their own because you speak both languages. You connect the dots. That's where the magic happens.
Okay, let's bring this down to earth. For the listener driving to work right now, what is the bottom line?
The summary is simple. Cross-training is about stability, empathy, and smart economics. You're saving that 30 grand in hiring costs, building a team that respects each other's work, and ensuring the business doesn't grind to a halt when life happens.
So what's the first step? Where do I start today without getting overwhelmed?
Start small. Do not try to boil the ocean. My advice is to identify one single point of failure in your team today. Just one.
Find your Dave.
Find your Dave. Then create a simple checklist for his key role. Just the basics. Then find one person and have them shadow Dave for 1 hour a week.
1 hour a week. That seems almost too easy to be effective.
That's the beauty of it. 1 hour a week of practice compounds. Over a few months, that person will have absorbed enough to be a functional backup. It doesn't have to be a massive disruption.
1 hour a week compounds. I like that. It removes the excuse of we're too busy to train.
We are always too busy, but we are never too busy to prevent a catastrophe. And that's what this is, prevention. It really changes the mindset from training as a luxury to
Training is a survival tactic.
Absolutely. And I want to leave the listeners with a thought. We used to value the specialist above all else. But as AI handles more of the deep technical stuff, the human value is shifting.
Shifting to what?
To the connectors. The most valuable employee in the future isn't the one who knows the most about one thing, but the one who can connect the dots between many things. When you cross-train, you are creating architects who understand the whole building, not just the plumbing.
So the final question is,
Are you building a team of islands, isolated and fragile? Or are you building a mesh of capabilities that is stronger than the sum of its parts?
that is a powerful image. A mesh versus islands. I think we all want to be part of the mesh.
I know I do. It's a much safer place to be.
Well, there you have it. A strategy for resilience that saves money and might just make your office a nicer place to work. Thank you for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast.
It was a pleasure to dive into this.
If you want to go deeper, we have linked Felix Römer's full article, Cross-Training Strategy, in the show notes. It has the templates and the full data on those 2026 rules we mentioned. And please subscribe for more insights on the future of work and productivity. Until next time, keep learning.